One time I asked Norton about them. How did the people on our Earth come to be? Many people say it was created by God. I don't quite believe it. Your technology is so advanced. They say you created it. I do believe it. Has life been put on other backward planets? Have you put your people on other planets? Norton says, our current level of technology can indeed create people. We made all our bodies now. Not naturally bred at all. But we didn't build our bodies in the first place. You Earthlings, our nemesis. Intelligent people on other planets in the universe. On all planets with life. The vast majority of life did not spread from other planets. It's not made of anything. Primitive planets with life in the universe. All life, almost all from lower life forms, evolved step by step. You Earthlings were not created by God and God. It's evolutionary. God and God do not exist. It was created by you Earthlings yourself. A set of information. We now have the ability to make life and bodies. It is our technology that has developed to a certain extent. Just realized. All life on your Earth. From a lightning strike 1 billion years ago. Lightning strikes nitrogen in the air. Produce complex macromolecules. Falling into the water. Formed certain simple amino acids and proteins. Amino acids and proteins. Produced some of the earliest viruses that can replicate themselves. And then, a step-by-step evolution from low-level to complex high-level. In the universe, all advanced creatures and civilizations, all survivors of the virus massacre, in a sea of viruses, successfully evolved into a more advanced creature. It's hard to escape the slaughter of the virus. Some even successfully evolve into more advanced creatures. In the end, they chose to go viral. Directional degradation of simple organisms. Because during biological evolution, the simpler the biological structure, survival is more dominant. This results in the universe. On a planet with simple viral organisms, the true birth of advanced creatures and civilizations. Less than 1/1. Scientists on your planet generally agree that humans evolved from apes, and apes evolved from reptiles. Reptiles evolved from aquatic animals, and aquatic animals swim from the ocean. This view is inaccurate. Nitrogen struck by early lightning fell into some small ponds and ditches on land, formed the earliest life, and the life in the ocean is drawn from the land gutters and ponds. A small river and a small lake flow past. The earliest life in the small waters of the land, rather than in the ocean. Because seawater contains high levels of salt and other chemicals. High mineral content. Wind and waves. Bad environment. Not suitable for early life. Early higher organisms. It also lives on land and fresh water. Eventually evolved into a variety of fish. Many marine life are migrating from freshwater into the ocean. After gradually adapting to the ocean. Only lived in the ocean for a long time. Freshwater fish from the land follow the river to the sea. Some die because they don't adapt to the marine environment. But over billions of years. And freshwater fish are constantly coming out to the ocean. Some gradually adapt to the marine environment, eventually turned into marine fish. And the fish of the sea want to swim upstream to land. Much more difficult. Early on land, it was only suitable in fresh water. Early viral survival. Land is not suitable. In the beginning, there was no difference between plants and animals. Later, in order to survive, early viral microorganisms began to differentiate into plants and animals. Some viruses are the result of the degradation of advanced organisms. Organisms are evolving. in order to adapt to the environment, in order to survive. Sometimes genes degenerate, reverse development, evolving in a simpler direction. Freshwater fish in the pool. How did it evolve on land? On land, sometimes it rains heavily. The rivers and lakes soared. Some fish forage for food, swim around with the skyrocketing water. It ended up in a small puddle in what used to be dry land. As the rainy season passes, sunny day arrives. Water when the water is gradually exhausted. Many fish are dying. The remaining small fish run to the center of the water. With water as the center, a little bit of water, sustaining life. They are waiting. But in the end, most of them die. But there are still a few fish. Fortunately, the next rainy season arrived. They were saved. Swim back into the water, over and over again for billions of years. Make some fish particularly drought tolerant. The suffering of less water. Some fish evolved to live without water, can also live for a while. When your earthling fetus is first formed, it also has a tail. It just disappeared. In fact, this tail, it is the trace that evolved humans from fish. Give a performance. The eyes of animals have also slowly evolved. Early biological cells could sense the heat of sunlight. So, the ability to tell which direction the sun is coming from. Through slow evolution, creatures eventually grew eyes. You can see the universe reflected by light. The wisdom of certain planets. Humans and living things have now evolved to. Not only can it perceive light, acoustic thermoelectricity, and magnetism. We can sense the field, sensing spacetime and acceleration. You can even sense it. Future information stored in space. The consciousness of you Earthlings and us Gokes. It's the movement of charged particles in the brain. It's essentially information. Simple organisms evolve to later higher organisms. You need to control your behavior at all times. As organisms evolve, it's an increasingly sophisticated control behavior. Over billions of years of evolution, it's about controlling your behavior and gradually consciousness. Living things have a fundamental property. It's about avoiding harm. Run away when you are in danger. Approach when you encounter food. Early life could only simply escape or approach. So the control behavior is very simple. It's controlling forward and backward. And the consciousness is very simple. As life evolves, it becomes more complex. Sound, light, temperature, smell. Contact of objects. In response to stimuli such as acceleration. So you get lots of sensory systems going. Many control systems have been generated accordingly. The human brain collects signals from the sensory system. Process. Handle the signal. It feeds back to various parts of the body. This allows for the control and coordination of body parts. Act accordingly. And that complicates consciousness. As consciousness becomes complex, consciousness separates from another. Special consciousness that specializes in controlling and regulating consciousness. From early simple creatures to today's complex humans. Consciousness. It's the movement of electrons and ions in living things, generated as a carrier of consciousness. Electrons and ions remain unchanged. But the biological brain and body, over billions of years of evolution, huge changes. The corresponding control consciousness is also becoming more and more complex, more and more advanced. But there are organisms that choose to be simpler. Like, some viruses are getting simpler and simpler. Sometimes biological selection takes simpler directions, more conducive to survival. Planet with people in the universe. Only a very small part. Are people introduced from other planets? We have also put some creatures. Put it on some planets where life has already appeared. But it turned out, these creatures have a hard time adapting to new environments. It didn't take long to be eliminated. On a planet where intelligent humans have emerged, we have also launched the race we design and build. Although the creatures and humans we designed, it's run through a supercomputer simulation, after space-time refrigerator simulation. But it is usually released on other planets. They didn't do very well. This is because, through natural evolution of living creatures and humans, after billions of eliminations and choices, to survive, they adapt to their environment. It has a very close relationship with the environment. It's a relationship that's very difficult to model on a computer. For example, the genes of your Earthlings. Many of them are brought to you by viruses invading the human body. When the human body cannot completely eliminate these viruses, you modify the genes. You can live with these viruses. You Earthlings hear the noise of the factory. Will feel annoying. But it's nice to hear the birds in the woods. This is also what you Earthlings have evolved over billions of years. Adapted to the birdsong of the woods. And industrial noise has been produced for more than 100 years. The genes of Earthlings are not yet adapted. Our people like to kidnap people from other planets. Then, through technical means, continue to treat these kidnapped races. Perform maintenance. Make these alien races live well in the Nemesis Ball. If the rappers are sent to another backward planet, do not invest huge resources in technical support. Let it go. It will also be difficult to adapt to the local environment. It was eliminated very quickly. If we were on a backward planet, sustain these alien species by technical means. It requires an enormous investment of resources. Frequent flying saucers. Even if our race is very advanced, able to adapt to the environment of that planet. But many years later, the people we introduced become part of that planet. We don't feel any sense of achievement anymore. Over time, we have no interest in being on a backward planet, spreading life, and placed the race. He became obsessed with going to other planets. Direct kidnapping, because the latter is more beneficial to us.